Now, before we begin, I recorded this entire intro without realizing that my son had played with some of the recording settings. I'm just gonna play that now.
You know, Star Wars, Disney, Lucasfilm even, they made a lot of gross decisions.
All right, I'm going to put down the megaphone. What I was trying to say is that Star Wars, Disney, even Lucasfilm have made a lot of gross, or at least in my opinion, misguided decisions over the past decade. This one has to be maybe the worst. This news comes from Variety, who put out an article stating Disney Inc.'s blockbuster OpenAI deal to bring more than 200 characters to Sora video platform will invest $1 billion in AI company. To me, this makes no sense for a variety of reasons. Of all companies, Disney to do this, as we'll get to in a minute. But I mean, also from a principled standpoint, I hate this. I'm not a Luddite. I think artificial intelligence is a cool technology with some useful potential features. I use AI to help me with some data management. I think it could be good in healthcare. But AI has already begun in its very early stage to ruin human creativity. It really has. Yes, there are still great works of art. Yes, there are still artistic people. But every single day, I encounter some nonsense use of AI, and what's worse, I'm always left questioning whether something was actually created by a person or essentially an algorithm. And I mean, here's an example. I tweeted this out the other day. I personally believe that it's very important at certain points in your life as a human to have to sit down, reflect, and write, or at least put your thoughts together. Whether it's for a eulogy, a best man speech, a really important announcement, you used to know that regardless of whether a person hadn't read a book or sat down to write creatively or emotionally, they did so when it was important. And there's something meaningful about that. Now you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me a post about X, and they'll do it. It will be terrible, but it's also becoming just more and more common in our society. Another good example, and this is one that I've seen quite common, is ChatGPT as used in videos for YouTube. I run many YouTube channels. I'm often looking for writers. I had a very, very talented young man produce a video for one of my sports channels. He did great. He knows his stuff, but it ends up having that stupid ChatGPT cadence that everyone should hate by now. Oh, this wasn't just a touchdown. It was a statement. And you know, he's a good kid. He's in his early 20s. So I said, listen, I like what you do, but drop the ChatGPT stuff. People, when watching your videos, want to hear from you. And trust me, this is extremely popular in the Star Wars lore space as well. People will get ChatGPT to summarize Wikipedia articles, make it into videos, and you'll know that because partially of the language used, and also because ChatGPT will hallucinate quotes and lore that never existed. If you're like me and you actually do know it, you'll notice it, but I mean, it's one way to just pump out a shitload of videos, especially when you don't care. When it comes to visual art, there are some pieces, some bits of AI art which can be compelling, but you know, AI art can make some interesting looking dreamscapes and whatnot, but the vast majority is slop, and even when it's not, it's nothing truly new. How large language models and how AI works is basically looking at the patterns which exist in the data it's fed. It then produces text or video or imagery based on, you know, the likelihood of connection. And you know, that takes me to Disney. They continue to be a cartoonishly bad company. So now using Sora and also apparently ChatGPT, you'll be able to generate images and videos using things from the Disney brand, which, I mean, that I guess is whatever. They were going to steal your data either way. Like, it was only a matter of time, make some money off it, I guess. But not only is Disney and Bob Iger investing over $1 billion in purchasing equity in OpenAI, Disney Plus will increasingly be making use of AI technology in providing user experiences. And this is the definition of slop taking over the Disney Plus platform. Listen, I don't like a lot of Marvel shows. I've called them slop in the past. At least that is human art. At least there is something real there. At least a human work comes from someone's soul, even if it is also a big part profits, and it can make you feel something. Art is meant to be a human expression. This is just awful. It's puppeteering characters you like, taking data from these incredible pieces of art, the original Star Wars, the Disney classics, and iterating on it over and over again until it becomes ultimately meaningless. So if you're wondering specifically, the paragraph says, on Disney Plus, users will be able to watch curated sections of Sora generated videos Also, OpenAI and Disney will continue to use OpenAI's models to power new experience for Disney Plus subscribers, furthering innovative and creative ways to connect with Disney's stories and characters. This will be starting in 2020. Bob Iger says AI is going to give us the ability to provide users at Disney Plus a much more engaged experience, including the ability for them to create user-generated content and to consume other user-generated content, mostly short form. I'm just so sick of it. I was an early proponent of AI. I was obviously wrong. ChatGPT, it does have its uses. I think, like I mentioned, data management, even data analysis, sure, why not? I personally use ChatGPT to help me do very, very rough calorie estimates on my food or my calorie burns during exercise, which I then add into my fitness pal or whatever else. But again, this slop just continues to infest every single goddamn facet of our life. I am so tired of it. I go in Gmail has an AI. I go on Windows has an AI. Everything I search on Google has a useless, usually fucking incorrect AI generated summary. A significant portion of what I see on Facebook is AI generated bullshit, most of which just makes people angrier and stupider. And Disney is continuing to be the villain by making this shit worse. It's throwing it in my children's faces. They will not be using Disney Plus. The absolute slop being fed to people at an ongoing basis is making us so much stupider, so much angrier, and so much less creative and interesting. Sam Altman has to be one of the stupidest fucking people on the entire planet. He said on Jimmy Fallon the other day, I can't imagine figuring out how to raise a newborn without ChatGPT. Do you know how cooked your child is? Talk to somebody, read a book, use the entire knowledge of humanity at your fingertip via Google. If you can't figure out how to raise your kid without ChatGPT, you shouldn't have a kid. I'm sorry. If you can't figure out how to make content for your shitty media platform, Disney, you shouldn't have a media platform. How is the same company which created Andor going down this route? It's just so disappointing. And back to Star Wars videos, YouTube videos, whatever. I would rather watch the most misinformed Star Wars fan who at least has a passion about the franchise, who at least cares, even if they're genuinely a stupid person with stupid ideas, than half of the AI generated slop we're seeing now across the YouTube and Star Wars fandom. Just so disappointing. Anyway, things suck. They're going to continue to suck. Honestly, this has me more black/doomer pilled than anything else Disney has ever done. All the shitty Disney Plus shows, Kenobi being a pile of shit, the Book of Boba Fett changing itself midway through a good first season to become The Mandalorian season 2.5, the sequel trilogy not having a plan, whatever. We're getting put in the fucking meat grinder.